Morning, Sean. How are you?
I'm not too bad this morning. How are you, Peter?
I am wonderful, wonderful. Looking forward to the week ahead. The Christmas decorations are up. The sun is shining. Who could ask for more? Who could ask for more?
We could
Sean,
always ask for
welcome
more
to.
time to do things, couldn't we?
Well, there you go. So, Sean, welcome to the Business Spotlight. Thank you very much for being involved. Please tell me a little about you and your business, please.
Certainly. I'm the owner and founder of a company based here just outside Belfast called Nemstar, a specialized training business. We are in the information and cyber market, a very strong growth vertical at the moment, gives us exposure across a great deal of companies. We like to think that we punch above our weight, being a small local business with some really big multinational brand names delivering services on a global basis sometimes.
And as your background, tell me a little about your background. How did you become Nemstar?
It's a good question. I'm ex-BT. I was working in a small local business here in Northern Ireland, Big Systems, if anybody from Northern Ireland remembers it. And we got bought over by BT. Okay, and we continued our work within BT. I seen an opportunity in the market around the turn of the millennium for information security services, really in its infancy. And we helped BT build out some of its service offerings and reskill its training and meeting what the customer was actually driving, where there was a gap in the market. Okay, I worked through BT, was hopefully quite successful in that. Left with 13 years service in 2009, and it seemed the right time to take that leap, that risk that we all have to take when we're starting a new organization, a new business. So we formed Nemstar as a result of that. And the company I was working for, where it was a great company and thoroughly enjoyed it, it was really more about the technical consultancy. And what we really do is more around the soft skills and governance side. And I seen an opportunity with my customers really demanding it. And we formed Nemstar, as I say, around 2009.
And is there a particular business leader or any business leaders that have given you inspiration or inspire you the most?
I think, anybody successful in business, they always need a mentor or somebody to look after. And I've had a couple of really good mentors in my life. And Anne Clydesdale was a director of mines in BIC and BT for several years. She went on to work for Queen's University Belfast as one of their chancellors. And Ed Vernon, who of course is now Sir Ed Vernon, okay, knighted for his services to industry. And again, through BIC and BT, okay, always admired both their appreciation of staff more than anything else, and was taught from a very early age, being very lucky to join the companies they worked for, that it was always the staff that made the difference to the customer. And I always remember Ed, would know the name of everybody from the cleaner to the janitor and every way up, and was always very adamant that a company marches on the fact that you've got working facilities and you've got happy content staff, and you can't do it without them. So we try to bring some of those learnings into what we do today.
Excellent. What would you say has been the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
It's very hard to put a finger on the best piece of the best advice you're ever given. But honestly, as a consultancy, it was a very simple piece. And it was, don't be afraid to charge. When you're responding to tenders and you're trying as a small business to start up, there's always a tendency to undercut the service that you give. And I was told, no, you charge what your service is worth, not the size of your business or the reputation that you have. And you have to stick by, the cost that you need to raise. And you need to deliver a service to that value that you're creating. So I think that's one of the hardest things to do. And many small business owners watching this, you're the nightmare of pricing a tender when you're up against some of the big players, and there's a real tendency to discount what you're offering and try to become the small cheap provider. But then you end up being the small cheap provider, don't you?
Absolutely. That's anyone watching this, write that down. Charge what you're worth. Charge what you're worth.
Absolutely.
Comes up
I mean,
time
we
and time
undervalue
again.
ourselves, don't we?
Absolutely. And who's the first person, Sean, that comes to your mind when you think about the word success?
Oh, the first person that comes to my mind when I think of the word success, uh, I would say Ed Vernon would have to come to my mind straight away as a local person, somebody that has managed to have a very successful business, but at the same time, I would challenge you to find anybody to say a bad word against the person. Okay, it's very easy to be ruthless in business, to burn your bridges, to be that bulldozer, but that comes back round in a small industry in a small location, and don't burn your bridges. And I think reputation is worth so much in what we do, isn't it?
I completely agree. Completely agree. And what your business has been trading now for what, so 13 years. So what would you say are your top three qualities as a business owner?
Well, the top three qualities as a business owner, to be honest with you, the first one is actually the most boring: process. Okay, to me, a business is a collection of processes, no matter how small or how large you are. And the first thing is, it's not what product you're selling or what service you're offering, but it's the process you're going to use to deliver that. How you're going to make your contact with your customers, how you're actually going to process their needs and deliver, what's your follow-ups, what's your quality, are you learning out of every single process that you've gone through? Okay, so number one, I think, would definitely be process. The second one, it's personality. Okay, when we have a small business, we rely very much on the personality of the individual consultant to be able to sell the brand and the business and what you're offering. So I try really hard. It is like everybody else, an act. Okay, when we get up on stage and when we talk, and it's about making sure that you speak and you be honest at every single point. And the third one, or the last one on this one, we actually celebrate neurodiversity in our business. Okay, having people who think in slightly different ways, who can offer different opportunities. And as a neurodiverse individual, I think it actually gives a large advantage to what we do.
But neurodiversity, and that doesn't crop up in conversations very often. I mean, you've got me intrigued. Tell me a little more about that, please, Sean.
Well, inside IT, statistically, there's a large number of people who think slightly different to the rest of us. And we've various different labels that we can apply to those people that come under the generic name of neurodiverse. And it simply means maybe our thought processes and the way we see the world may not be the same as other people. Okay, I'm dyslexic. I have two highly dyslexic children, but we're also intelligence. Okay, and neurodiversity and dyslexia, don't ask me to stand in front of the Mona Lisa and appreciate the subtleties of her smile, because I will not have emotional reaction to that. But what I'm extremely good at is to be able to see solutions to problems that other people cannot see, to be able to think outside the box in different ways. And I find my customer base really appreciates that fresh choice. My little company, we're up against some of the biggest players in the world, the household names, the big four in inverted air commas. Okay, but when you tend to go to those large businesses, you tend to get the same solution every single time. And that's what we sell ourselves on, is that difference that we can bring to an organization, to look at problems that you've had for years, but to look at them through a different set of optics, to hopefully come up with a different set of solutions.
And who would be your ideal customer? How would you describe your ideal customer, Sean?
Well, we've got a couple of ideal customers at the moment. And the most important thing for a customer is to look at what we deliver rather than the size of our business or our market cap, or the wider reputations that some organizations have. So the ideal customer to us is honest, and we're honest with them, and they want to work in partnership rather than simply buy a service or a product. So the accounts that we spend most time on are the accounts that are honest with us. The accounts that said, you know, you did a good job on this, but we really weren't happy with this one. And that allows us as a business to go in and to grow and to really help that organization succeed as they help us. So it's that overused word, partnership, but that's really what we do look at. And some of the organizations that we've been working with, personally, I've been working with organizations 25, 27 years, and I don't really call them customers anymore as much as I call them friends. But that's what we try to do, and that's what we're there to provide, isn't it? That level of service.
And so tell me, Sean, what does Nemstar look like in 5 years' time? Was that 2027? What does Nemstar look like then?
Well, I'd hope we actually look fairly similar to what we look at today, because despite the size or the turnover in an organization, it has to be agile. It has to behave like a small business. And we are massively expanding our team at the moment. We're employing, we're going to be doubling it by next Easter time. And we hope to keep along that route. We will have to keep reinventing in this market. So what we will look like, hopefully to the customer, is exactly the same experience they will get today, but with more capacity and more delivery capacity and, you know, better product offering, a deeper product offering. But my goal is not to become a large business, because to a large business, to me, you lose the flexibility and agility that my customers come back to Nemstar for again and again.
And tell me, Sean, do you have like a favorite book or podcast that has really inspired you or got your creative juices flowing?
Right. It's lucky you said podcast, because the honest truth of the matter is, if you kept it to book, I would have been a bit lost.
Okay.
Being somebody who genuinely doesn't read a whole load of books, technical manuals, yes. I could give you a list of really good in-depth technical manuals, the RTM, the Red Team Manual, an in-depth pen testing guide, a nice 3,000 pages of in-depth, but I don't think many of the audience would appreciate it.
No, that might be a good stocking filler for somebody. Perhaps not me, but you never know.
Yeah, I think it would. They might not be a friend anymore if we do get to that one. Okay, is anybody you don't like for Christmas? That might be a good choice. Podcasts. I'm a big podcast fan, and there's a great podcast by Jack Reisner. Okay, and it's called Dark Net Diaries, and it comes on twice a week. It's about 60 minutes long, and it's actually stories from real hackers and real professional law enforcement officers on the criminal activity that we don't see every day. And it's done very much like a story. It's very accessible. And for business leaders, being able to hear about other companies like yourselves that have been compromised, that have been taken advantage of by these bad actors. I think it's something that all business leaders should be looking for, some sort of information that's in accessible format that helps them understand one of these threats that they're dealing with. And no matter what size of business you're in, you're going to be dealing with this.
What would you say is the biggest challenge currently facing you and Nemstar at the minute?
Well, that's really quite an easy question, to be honest with you. It's the reason why my business exists. The skills shortage in the vertical that we work in. We're operating somewhere between a 10 and 11% skills shortage on a global basis in this sector. There are lots of providers providing, out of the box magic bullet solutions. Buy this product, it'll fix the problem. They don't work. What works is people with the right skills. And I suffer like any other business being able to obtain those skills in the market at the right place and maintain them. So definitely skill shortage in what we're doing is our biggest issue to growth at the moment.
And Sean, it's a really fascinating story about your business and what you do. If somebody is listening to this and wants to reach out and get in touch, what would be the best way to go about that?
Well, it's our website's always the first point of contact. However, if you look me up on LinkedIn, Sean Hanna, Okay, I'm not the hairdresser from London, as you can see. I'm definitely not the hairdresser from London. But if you look me up on LinkedIn, I'd love to see a LinkedIn invite, because we're always open for a chat, whether it's advice or business that people need.
Sean Hanna from Nemstar, not the hairdresser from London. Thank you very much for sharing your story and your time this morning. Absolutely fascinating. And I wish you a Merry Christmas. There you are. We're at that point now where I'm wishing Merry Christmas. Thanks.
It's the start of December, Peter. I think a Merry Christmas to everybody is allowed at this stage.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Sean.